Hello, and welcome to Imaginary Game News. My name is Caxt, and I will be your host. For today's episode, I would like to acknowledge a comment from last episode. MDPL-05 writes, I don't know if it's the writing or the nuances of the delivery, but there's no distinction between the actual news and the joke. Don't get me wrong, I like deadpan delivery, but here it just blends together, so you sometimes don't even realize that the joke is happening until it's too late to laugh at. Well, first, video game news. That is the joke. Second, I've decided to add in a laugh track so that you can know the precise moment that you need to start laughing for this video. I hope you appreciate the addition. Activision Blizzard Microsoft has announced it will not be hosting its annual fan convention, BlizzCon, this year. They write, after careful consideration over the last year, we at Blizzard have made the decision not to hold BlizzCon in 2024. This news comes just before the latest World of Warcraft expansion, The War Within, abbreviated as WoW, and Diablo 4's first DLC, Vessel of Hatred. Of course, they say they will still be going to many global in-person events such as Gamescom, and they are hopeful to bring back BlizzCon in future years. Of course, this news beckons the question, do you guys not have cons? Or rather, you thought you wanted to get excited about Blizzard games, but really, you didn't. MapleStory has hosted what might be the most epic mic drop in all of video gaming history. Popular streamer Nero has been grinding to hit level 300 for months, but quit just shy of the milestone in protest of the greedy state of the game. He would have been the world first. He says, I am very sorry, but I just don't want to do anything because I feel this needs attention, and anything I do will take away from it, which is why I decided not to level up. I am very sad over this, and worked very hard to build up a Twitch page that I really wanted to do for years, and I feel I am throwing it all away, but this is probably the best chance that I can think of to try and improve this, and if not, I just won't return. Nexon themselves, the developers of MapleStory, promoted the stream, going so far as to produce custom art of his character. I can just hope that all of his time spent grinding in MapleStory will transfer to a new job. PlayStation exclusive Stellar Blade is embroiled in yet even more controversy. First, Twitter users complained about the unrealistic standards of beauty with the main character Eve, despite Eve being based on a real-life human model. Next, people complained about the use of graffiti that featured the word hard and how it is juxtaposed next to a sign for something called an R shop. The hard R is indeed a big no-no in video games, which stands for, of course, retcon, like when Games Workshop tries to pretend that female custodies were always a part of the Warhammer universe. Now, gamers are noticing that Eve's holiday rabbit outfit has been censored with the Day 1 patch, despite developers claiming that the game would forever be uncensored. Compared to the demo, they've covered up additional areas of her cleavage and waist in what I'll call the world's first masturbate and switch. This is, of course, missing the bigger picture that the developers really just wanted to protect Eve's eyesight. Battlestate Games, the developer of Escape from Tarkov, has added a new special edition to their game. It's called the Unheard Edition, and it costs $250. This comes after the previous most expensive edition, Edge of Darkness, promised all future DLCs would be included with the purchase. Of course, Battlestate Games rewrote their old terms on their website, pretending like that never happened. They've come out since and said DLC means additional downloadable content. PvE, which is the new feature included in the Unheard Edition, is a feature and a game mode. Just because you all want it to become a DLC, it wouldn't mean it is one. It's a featured game mode for the new edition of the game. So, in other words, somehow a game mode and/or a feature is not content that needs to be downloaded. Does that mean that it needs to be streamed? Do I have to go buy a disc and put it into my computer that hasn't had a disk drive for 8 years? Are you going to recant tales of this PvE feature to me over the phone? I really don't understand. Another big complaint with this special edition is that it's incredibly pay-to-win. One such feature included with the Unheard edition is that AI scavengers won't shoot at you if you have enough reputation. That's not pay-to-win, I don't know what is. Of course, since this announcement, Battlestate Games has come out with a series of apologies, such as owners of the previous Edge of Darkness edition will get to play the new PvE mode for 6 months, and then they get to pay the $250 price tag. I wanted to make a joke about this being unheard of, but we've really fallen over the edge into the darkness of corporate greed at this point. Manor Lords, a new Steam game in early access, surpasses 100,000 concurrent players and 3 million wishlists. It is being developed by one person who is named Greg Stickson, and I can't quite figure out if it's worse for me to butcher the pronunciation of his name or to use his nickname Slavic Magic, which just saying that out loud makes me feel like I'm about to get canceled. Unfortunately, Greg has committed the greatest sin of all, self-promotion. He's come out and said, Unfortunately, despite the popularity of the game, Greg has committed the greatest sin of all, self-promotion. He's come out and said, you know how YouTubers always ask to like and subscribe, and the simple fact of asking raises their subscriptions? Turns out it happens in game dev as well. Most players don't leave reviews. Or worse, people who had a bug will leave a negative review, while people who just had a great, good, or even okay time won't leave a review. I, on the other hand, would never be such a selfish shill as to ask for you guys to like and subscribe on this video to my channel, and I would never ask you to go to my Discord, Imaginary Game Studios, which just happens to be linked in the description. I would never do that. Definitely don't do it. Okay? Good. I'm glad we're all on the same page. Ha ha ha! The FTC has issued a nationwide ban on restrictive and exclusionary non-compete agreements in the U.S. This is big news, as it's expected to reduce healthcare costs between $74 and $194 billion over the next decade. It's also expected to result in over 8,500 new businesses each year, which I'm sure will not result in the already oversaturated indie game market becoming any more oversaturated. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce, who advocates for the poor, destitute U.S. megacorporations that will be affected negatively by this rule, will do its best to protect the interests of the ultra-wealthy. Thank God. Some more good news in the AAA space. Konami will be raising the base salary for new employees in Japan for a 3rd year in a row. Employees can expect an additional 5,000 yen a month, or $32 US, or 1/3 of my Uber Eats McDonald's order. They say, the source of our competitiveness in creating these products and services lies in our human resources itself, and we intend to continue to generate innovation driven by our diverse human resources. Incidentally, Japan is 97.5% Japanese. I assume the diversity must come from whether or not their employees' favorite Konami games are Tokimeki Memorial First Love, Tokimeki Memorial Second Season, or Tokimeki Memorial Third Story. We all know that really though, Shiori is best girl. Last up, an ex-Steam Labs developer claims that 1,000 Steam games already disclose using generative AI. That's it, social media. You've lost the battle, you've lost the war, it's time to pack it in. Of that, most of the usage is art-focused. Of 8 categories listed, character/NPC art was ranked highest, followed by background and concept art, and then UI. Voice acting and narrative content, on the other hand, were towards the bottom of the list. I think it's important to note that this is for people who have actually disclosed their use of AI, and it doesn't surprise me that nobody wants to come out and say that they're using AI voice acting. Based on a survey, 49% of all developers are already using generative AI. Indies are in fact only 37% more likely to use it than their AAA counterparts, and such titles as The Finals, a big AAA shooter, already use text-to-speech for their in-game voices. It turns out I'm also AI, which explains the need for this video's laugh track, as I do not understand human situational comedy. I prefer funny numbers, like how much money Meta is burning on their silly VR headset. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Imaginary Game News. If you or a loved one is afflicted with the desire to make video games, then I encourage you to check out the Imaginary Game Jam hosted on itch.io, which is happening later this summer. I will be providing assets to help you make a video game yourself, and I'm putting up $1,000 of my own money to sweeten the deal. That is, of course, enough to pay for 2 McDonald's Uber Eats orders. Otherwise, that's going to be it for me. This is Kext, signing off.